And that's where we're looking at a transition from having a centralized manufacturing facility where we're building our homes and being able to efficiently deploy them to site and being able to really optimize that delivery, that setup, installation to be able to reduce the sort of energy that's required for each.
A direct impact, but the way we do it also is very important. Is not only we want to create a zero emission vehicle with fuel cell technology, but the way we want to do it, it needs also to be sustainable. We have to be careful in the choice of technology that we're not doing energy extraction, mineral extractions. All those things can be important. So what are we doing at Moderator? We are monitoring the carbon footprint of our own products. How much energy, carbon intensity it takes to make a fuel cell. So we are very careful on that to make sure that we are not developing a solution which is also going to have some harmful impact on the environment.
Just consider a building. Again, that parking space that is built costs about over $90,000. And also emissions that already comes in an embodied carbon footprint in terms of excavation, surfacing, drilling, all that translates to a number. Now, be able to say that now for a new development, we don't need to build as much. Let's say we can reduce 10% of the capacity by optimizing what we already have. What does that translate to? Savings. So we do have both sides, direct and indirect, and we're creating a process and optimizers, an engine, which relies on AI machine learning to learn all the amenities and assets that we already have to support this community-driven, service-oriented technology that we
Well, and I think the criticism that we hear is that the sustainable option is too expensive. Technology is way far in advance, still needs a lot of investment dollars in order to bring the cost down. And I'd love to hear from our panelists, how do you think about that relationship?
Talking about that, it's times where everyone who wants to make hydrogen a reality. Prices are still high, and what happens is a fleet operator will not buy a hydrogen solution, except if they are going to spend at least the same of what they're spending currently, right? They, of course, want to reduce emissions, but they don't want to pay more money. They cannot pay more money. So that's a big challenge. We are working as industry, pushing not only in private investment, but pushing governments, and both Canadian government and provincial governments. They are coming with different incentives, with different programs. And well, that's what we have to do, right? As an industry, just push for investment to come and governments to help to bring infrastructure prices down and be able to offer hydrogen as similar to what we pay now for diesel or gas.
So we work with young people all over the world, and we often have a lot of curiosity and interest from emerging entrepreneurs in our network on, how can I attack this big problem of climate change? What do I need to learn? What skills do I need to learn? So this is kind of the culmination of a lot of different questions that I hear from young people that I work with that I'm hoping I can put to our panelists today, just to hear their reflections on their work that they do and how they confront the very large challenge of climate change.
Startup, when we started in 2007, our founder and CEO was from Ballard Power Systems. I was from Ballard Power Systems, which is a fuel cell company right here in our backyard. And we did gas cleanup systems. Or fuel cell. So that's where the knowledge base came from. And then we partnered with some folks from Questair, which was another startup that came from Vancouver, also from NRC. And they had the PSA technology and how to absorb and put the minds together. And that's how we came up with our system. So I think we, how are we leading the charge? There's not that many companies out in the world that do PSA.
We helped start the portable e-generator industry. The first reaction that we had when we first started is, nope, not going to work, right? Because someone who's been in the industry or in a job for 20 years, they don't have a lot of incentive to try new things because it's going to mess with their workflow. It may affect them. It may make them look bad. A lot of the early days, we actually spent, I was just a joke, 50% of my time was doing educating the market. It ended up catching on. And then all of a sudden, the users themselves started to come up with their own solutions, as I mentioned in the presentation. And that's when there's a little couple days where they're like, okay, is this going to work? And then all of a sudden they go, oh, you know what? I can use it for this. I can use it for this. I can use it for this. And then that's when they embody that, like, the unit becomes a part of their new toolkit.
What I've done in my career is I just keep showing up, right? Like events like this doesn't really have any business value for Awesomeness, right? But I'm here because hopefully it inspires people, has some positive impact, right? I'm part of the BC Cleantech CEO Alliance, so is Mark. I co-chair the BC Tech Climate Sea Council. I'm on the advisory board for Grid Forward. I'm a SEPA member. I dedicate my time to advancing the cause to decarbonize, right? Like, we need to do that. So when I'm asked to show up, if it's public policy or with council or politicians or whoever, would listen to my opinion about how we decarbonize and how we move, energy policy forward, right? I will show up, and I keep showing up if I'm asked to. It's really that simple, and I've done that for 20 years. And so that's one way that I personally try to have impact.
Don't wait for the institutions. They are going to take time to catch up. If you're interested in something, you can find the information out.
The problem is so big. The solutions are multiple. It's going to be overwhelming to do this. But at the same time, we need people to feel empowered, to join this movement, not to fall into this sort of generation dread that some of the young people are falling into. And that, the antidote to that is any action. With an industry full of incumbents, there's always a risk that the only reason they're partnering with you is for the story, for the greenwashing. And it was really important to us when we selected our partners that this wasn't a token.
Saying me happy birthday and blow the candles at my gig. I want to do right by them and do everything that I can to give them a future that is just as privileged as mine. So when you ask me what the future is, every mine will be removing carbon dioxide. That our technology, every mine that works in ultramafic rock, they'll be selling the commodities they produce, and they will be selling the carbon credits they generate by removing carbon dioxide. So for me, that's a non-negotiable.
Have in place can actually work towards solving this, right? Whereas before, it was really hard for an entrepreneur. Like, people thought I was crazy in this space. And I said, well, what's the business model? Well, it's bringing entrepreneurs, and the innovation is happening at a way more rapid scale in this space right now. And it's not going to be just three of us up here in Vancouver. It's going to be thousands of companies and thousands of technologies that are going to help make this happen. Right? So that's happening. It has to keep happening, keep accelerating. Canada has to show the way to do that for the other places in the world where that doesn't happen yet.